Hey bookaholics, it's Isabel and welcome to another video. So today is actually going to be the first video of my Valentine's Day book of love series. I didn't really come up with the title, I just came up with that on the fly, so I guess that's what it's gonna be. But I've decided that I wanted to do just a series of all the romantic books that I would recommend to you guys, romantic books I want to read, my favorite meet cutes, my favorite first kiss in books, my favorite couples, just like everything romance and everything that I love about it and everything that I have come across in my years of reading that just make me swoon and so happy when I read. And I'm really excited for this, but this is going to be the first video, and this one is going to be all about recommending young adult romance books to you guys. So I have quite a few here actually, and I'm really excited to talk about them with you guys. So let's get right into it. So the first three recommendations I have for you are actually authors. The first one I have for you today is Kody Keplinger. So Kody Keplinger I read when I was a teenager and I absolutely loved it. The first one I read of hers was The Duff. That one has been made into a movie since, but this one I absolutely fell in love with it when I was like 15, 16, something like that, and I just love this. I love the story. The Duff follows a girl, I can't remember her name right now, but it follows a girl who ends up being called the Duff, which means designated ugly fat friend, and she is just shocked by this title, absolutely disgusted by it, but things go on in her life that just completely derail her, and she finds that she can forget about her life when she gets into this enemies with benefits relationship with this guy Wesley, who was the actual one who called her the Duff. So it's a really fun one. Like, it has some great commentary on just labels that people put on each other, especially in high school, and alcoholism, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on here. I don't think there's any really trigger warnings. It's a really fun one and I really enjoyed this, and honestly I loved Wesley and the girl's relationship. Again, I can't remember her name. Was it Bianca? It might have been. I don't know. I can't remember, but that's my first recommendations from Kody Keplinger. I'd also recommend Shutout. This one follows this group of friends who something happens and they decide to go on a sex strike. And so the guys are all scrounging, the girls are feeling empowered, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I remember reading this one back in the day and I really enjoyed it. It's on my ebook. I haven't read it for a while, but I know I absolutely love this, and yeah, I would totally recommend it. Any Kody Keplinger except her new one, which I think is about a school shooting, that may not be very romantic, but most of her books are pretty romantic and they're really a lot of fun and they're great fast reads, and I would recommend them. So the next author I recommend here is Sarah Dessen. She has written a lot of books in the YA romance, and these ones are a lot of fun. I read them again back in the day when I was a teenager and they were just a lot of fun and I really enjoyed them. My favorites were Dreamland, Along for the Ride, and Lock and Key. Those ones are my absolute favorites. Just a little bit of a warning though, Dreamland does follow a girl who's in an abusive relationship, so if you are triggered by anything like that, maybe look into the trigger warnings for that book, but otherwise a lot of her books are very romantic. The next author I'd recommend, I'm not the biggest fan of her, but I know a lot of people are, and honestly she's like the staple YA romance writer, so I still wanted to include her here. She's not my favorite, but a lot of people love her, and that's Kasie West. She writes a lot of rom-com YA books and so many people enjoy them, so if you do want to read kind of like a fast YA romance romance books, these ones are definitely great ones to go to. The ones I have read are P.S. I Like You, The Distance Between Us, and By Your Side. They were okay. They weren't the best books in my opinion, but I can still see what people can get out of them. I can still see how it's kind of like a guilty pleasure and it's an enjoyable read and it's very quick. So if you do want to read something like that, Kasie West would be a great one to go to. The next ones here are just all by different authors, so I'll just go through them. So the first one I recommend is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I love this book. It was so cute. It follows a girl. Again, I'm not good with names, but it follows a girl who her twin sister is dating this other girl and she's kind of feeling left out. So her twin sister tries to set her up with this one guy and then she starts working with the other guy who she has a bit of a sexual tension with, and so she's going between these two guys, and it's really good. It's very body positive and I freaking love this book and I would highly recommend it. The next one I would recommend is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya and Menon. This is a lot of fun. It's not one of the most best books, but I still had a lot of fun with this one. It follows a girl who goes to this computer camp and her parents are wanting her to meet this one guy because they're trying to set him up, and so the other parents decide, oh, they're both into this, they're both kind of thinking about going to this camp, might as well send them together and start making the sparks fly. So the guy, he's really into it. He's really into like having an arranged marriage, arranged relationship kind of thing, so he's into that. He's ready to go. He wants to meet her, so he's gung-ho on this, but she is not. So they kind of come together here and there's a bit of a tension and eventually it becomes romance, and I really enjoyed this one. The next one I want to recommend is To All the Boys I Loved Before series. This series is wonderful to read, especially during Valentine's Day, because you really get into the spirit, and I'd also recommend it because the last movie in the series is coming out on Netflix February 12th, so definitely if you haven't read them yet, I would highly recommend to read them before that comes out and just binge watch all of them on Netflix. To All the Boys I Loved Before follows a girl named Lara Jean who has written all these letters to the boys she loved before, and somehow they get out and everyone who she had a crush on knows about her crush and everything's just coming out of the woodworks and she's flabbergasted and so embarrassed. But her and Peter kind of come up with this plan of pretending to date and it just follows from there, and I really enjoyed this book. It was so much fun and yeah, I'd highly recommend this series. The next books I want to recommend is Love and Gelato and Love and Luck by Jenna Welch. So these ones are really adorable and they also are set in Europe. So Love and Gelato is set in Italy and Love and Luck is set in Ireland. So these ones are so much fun. I definitely did love Love and Luck more than Love and Gelato. Love and Gelato has an insta-love in it. It's there, it happens, so if you're reading it and prepared for it, you might enjoy it more than I did. But Love and Luck mostly has just like the beginning of a relationship before it actually begins, and I love that a lot more than Love and Gelato where they insta-love each other. So they're still great books. They're great ones to read during this time just to get some swoon in there, and you can definitely travel vicariously through these characters, so that's always fun too. So highly recommend these ones. So the next book I'd recommend to you guys is The Chaos is Standing Still by Jessica Brody. This one is a really fun rom-com and I really loved it. So it follows this girl named Rin who is having a very difficult time. Her best friend passed away a year ago in a car accident and she still hasn't really accepted it. She has this text message in her phone that she has looked at from her friend, and during this time she's at this airport. There's a blizzard and her flight was cancelled and she accidentally bumps into this guy and they accidentally swap phones, so they are kind of forced to meet to swap them back, and then they start like hanging out together, and it's just a really lovely story. I enjoyed it and it has such amazing rom-com scene that I absolutely love, and I think about it whenever I hear the song that comes on during that time, and it's just, I love it so much. I love this book, so I'd highly recommend it. The next book I'd recommend is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. Really, any of these ones would be a great one to read during the Valentine's time. I haven't read the two other books that came after Geekerella, but I would highly recommend this one. It's so adorable. It follows a girl who's kind of fit into this Cinderella story, and she wants to go to this Comic-Con and she is not able to. Her stepsister's gotta go, but she does not because she has to work. So she finds a way to get into the con, and it's just a lovely story. I really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it. The next book to recommend is Field Notes on Love by Jennifer E. Smith. So this one is typical rom-com but also very unique in a way. So this one follows a boy who is part of this huge family, and I think they're like octuplets or something. So he's part of this huge family, and he was supposed to go on this trip with his girlfriend in North America, but she dumped him, and this trip is non-refundable and it's under her name. So he has to find another girl with his ex-girlfriend's name and to go on this trip with him. So he puts it out into the universe, someone replies, and you kind of see where it goes from there. But it's such a unique idea. I really enjoyed it, and I love the family dynamic and just the trip in general. And then the next one I want to talk about is Save the Date by Morgan Matson. So this one, like any Morgan Matson, it's a fun rom-com book. It follows a girl who has so many siblings, and they're all coming together for this one wedding that her sister is having, and so many things are going wrong. It's not going the way she thought it would, and she's kind of freaking out. She is trying to fix this wedding so it matches what she wants it to, because this is the only time that they're gonna get together in such a long time. The wedding's going wrong and they have to hire a new wedding planner, and one of the wedding planner is a guy her age who tries to help out in any way he can. So it's just a lovely story. I really enjoyed it and it was so much fun. The next one I'll recommend to you guys is I See London, I See France by Sarah Mlynowski. I probably butchered that, I'm sorry. This one, again, is a great one to read if you want to live vicariously through someone else as they travel Europe. So this one follows a girl and her best friend who are going on a Europe trip, but the Europe trip gets derailed when her friend's ex-boyfriend joins them, and she has to kind of help her mom with some mental issues across text messages and emails and everything, and it's just not going the way that she thought it would, and she ends up meeting this one guy over there and they kind of keep meeting, and it's just a lovely story. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun and I'd highly recommend it. The next one I recommend to you guys is Letters to the Lost by Brigid Kemmerer. This one has a bit of a sad tone to it. It follows a girl who her mom passed away, and kind of a way to cope, she writes these letters to her and puts it on her grave, and eventually someone starts responding to these letters, and it's kind of like a big no-no because it's kind of getting into personal private issues, but eventually they start emailing each other, and you know what happens after that. So it's a really fun book and I'd highly recommend it. It's sad, but it's also uplifting and a very good story. The next one I'd recommend is The Wrong Side of Right by Jen Mary Thorne. This one follows a girl who her mom passed away again. Sorry for all the sadness, but her mom passes away and she finds out that her dad is actually running a campaign to be president. So this whole story comes out, and so the president has to, like, you know, scrounge around and kind of save face. So they bring along this daughter who he never met and who she never knew was her father, and they try to make a happy family. And it just follows as it kind of doesn't work and she just doesn't quite fit in, and it just follows as she's trying to show a good face to the news and tries to fit in with his family. So this one's a good one. It does have some romance in it, but it has a lot of family issues and family stuff, so I'd highly recommend this one. It's a very fun book. The next one I'd recommend is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This would not be a YA romance recommendations without this book. If you haven't read it yet, I don't know what you've been doing, but go read it, because this is such a wonderful, cute, and romantic book, and it's LGBTQ, so you can't go wrong with that. Really love this one. It's made into a movie, so if you haven't heard about it yet, you're probably living under a bridge, but it follows Simon as he finds out that this guy named Blue is also a closeted gay, and they start emailing each other, and eventually that turns into love. But someone finds out and starts blackmailing him to get into a relationship with this one girl who he wants to date. So it just follows this whole thing as he's trying to not let it be known that he's gay and not let it come out that Blue is as well. This is a great one and I'd highly recommend it. It's so much fun. The next one I'd recommend is What If It's Us by Becky, Albertalli, and Adam Silvera. So this one also is so swoon worthy. Oh my god, I love this book when I read it. It follows two people. They have this really adorable meet cute. So this one, they meet at a post office. After they kind of separate due to this flash mob that happens, they start trying to find each other through misconnections and all these different ways, like putting up flyers and stuff like that. And then they go on some really bad dates that eventually turns into more of a relationship. And it's just a lovely story. I really enjoyed it. And also, if you don't live in New York, you will kind of live vicariously as they live in New York. So yeah, it's a great story. The next one I'd recommend is Autobiography by Christina Lauren. Any Christina Lauren is great and I'll be recommending those in another video, but Autobiography is their first YA novel and it's LGBTQ as well, and it's just a lovely story. Autobiography follows this boy who goes into the seminar where they're supposed to write this book in 4 months, and the TA there is kind of helping, and he slowly falls in love with the TA, but the unfortunate thing is the TA is Mormon, and so they kind of have to keep their relationship secret, and they kind of just slowly build a relationship. And I just really enjoyed this book. It was so cute, and I don't know, it was just a lot of fun, and I definitely want to reread it at some point in my life. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this one, especially for a romance and an LGBTQ book. It's wonderful. I love it. The next one I recommend is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzales. So this one, again, another LGBTQ book, but it's a Grease retelling. I was sold once I heard that, and I read it and I absolutely loved it. It was such a cute book to follow. It follows as these two boys met over the summer and they had this bit of a fling, and then they kind of separated and they never talked again. So when he moves to this new town, and lo and behold, Ollie's there, sparks fly again, and they have to scrounge around to see if they can have a relationship after that. So yeah, I really love this book. It was so cute, and yeah, I'd highly recommend it. The next one I'd recommend is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. This one was such an adorable book as well. This one's LGBTQ, and it follows a girl who is in this film production, and she's in the background making like the sets and the props and everything. Her and this one girl were dating, but they kind of separated, and then she meets this other girl, and like there's this mystery. Honestly, I don't really remember what happened in this one, but I do remember that I absolutely loved it. The romance was really cute, but it was more of a finding yourself and realizing who you are kind of story, and it was very cute. And honestly, it's a great one, and it's a lesbian book, so definitely go check it out because there's not a lot of those out there. So yeah, I'd recommend that one. The last book I'm going to recommend to you guys today is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So this one is actually a graphic novel, so you'll be able to get through it a lot quicker, but this one follows two boys as they kind of meet and fall in love and then have like a kind of secret relationship. I've only read the first book, but I definitely want to check out the later books in this graphic novel series, and it's really cute. It's really fast read, and I don't know, it was wonderful. It was just like a really cute, quick read. It's just very romantic, and honestly it was just so cute. So yeah, I'd recommend that one. Alright, so those are all the young adult romances that I'm gonna recommend to you guys today. I'm hoping you guys got some recommendations from this list. I know there's some that have been talked about so often in booktube, but I still want to include them in here because they're just so wonderful, and honestly you can read any of these and still enjoy them. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if it helped. Let me know if I was able to give you any recommendations. Let me know your thoughts on them, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!